This is a meeting of the Armada Township Fire Chief Committee, and we're here. There's treasurers in the audience. Other than that, there's no other public in attendance. So let's just kind of talk about this. So if I could briefly recap where we've been through. Obviously, we started with 11 applicants. We had selected 7 for interviews, only interviewed 5 because one declined to interview and one did not respond to multiple attempts to schedule an interview, which is essentially meant I think they were declining to interview. And after the interviews, we reduced it to 3 that we, as a committee, unanimously agreed or wanted to send on to EMCO, which is the EMCO Assessment Center, where they kind of went through it appears to me to be a very thorough kind of evaluation by professionals who, that's their job, is to evaluate public service officials, fire chiefs, police chiefs, and climbing through the ladder, not just chiefs, but it sounds like a lot of larger communities use this process just for promotions, internal promotions, and EMCO, did some role play stuff. They had to go through scenarios, fictitious stuff, but Trustee Job and I did meet with EMCO prior to the actual assessment, the interview date, because they had asked us just a few basic questions to make sure that they understood Armada and could kind of tailor it to Armada. My guess is a lot of the stuff is fairly consistent across communities, but there are some aspects that it's good to know to help when they're creating scenarios. Probably makes it more specific to us. So we did do that. Fortunately for us, our contact at EMCO actually is very familiar with Armada because he was previously the Bruce Township Fire Chief. So I think that he had most of his information before he started.
And just to reiterate, Jim, that we did get all of the EMCO information from the supervisor back in August. So the whole board is aware of what EMCO, the process.
The basics, yep. And certainly I think it would be important when the board meets to kind of reiterate that process, explain it so that not just the board but the public
right,
is
so the public
familiar and hopefully supports that process that we had gone through there. So EMCO did provide, they do score the applicants. That's the purpose of this. Now I would say in our discussions, these results should be a factor in our decision. I don't believe that as a committee we need to absolutely take whoever scored highest at EMCO. I would say that this should be strongly considered, but I just want to be clear that I think if a committee member felt had a strong opinion about an applicant, even if they're not the highest, that doesn't mean we need to automatically pick the highest to make a recommendation to the board. We did have correspondence from the township attorney just asking for clarification because this is an interview process. We obviously interviewed them in public, but we took notes. EMCO provided a summary that had comments on it. They had requested that stuff be not publicly shared just because potentially, I'm not saying there's anything in here, but potentially it could be, I'll say offensive if a candidate had scored low on a certain area that may not look good for them or the community they work for. In addition to that, they have a process and they want to keep that somewhat close, so they don't want to divulge too much information about their process. And the township attorney did respond to say that this information, he feels it's not foiable. So, please just hold on to it, or you can return it to me. The board definitely will get copies of everything that EMCO provided to us, but it's not going to be part of the meeting packet that the public can review it, prior to any discussion. And so I guess that's the summary I've got. We're here. We've all interviewed the candidates, and we're all part of that process. We have the scores from EMCO, and if you have any comments, certainly I'd like to hear that.
Stephen Koha is who I had thought, like just his interview, from his resume on. And so I'm happy with that. I mean, the other two were really wonderful candidates, but I think that for Armada Township, where we are right now, I like Stephen Kohut.
I think the same thing. I think Stephen's a good fit for Armada Township. I kind of with you, Monica. I felt all along that he was probably the top candidate as far as I was concerned.
Yes, I agree. He excelled in his interview. His resume was what I like to see. It was concise, to the point. He met all the important criteria that I felt he needed in that resume. And his score on MCO showed that, you know, in the scenarios and the best fit for here. And I also like to comment, out of the three, he done exceedingly well in researching us to making sure that he was gonna be a good fit for the township, and I think he will be. I think his leadership abilities and his public speaking abilities will be evident to everybody once he hits the ground rolling if we do hire him.
I agree. I was pleased when we started the process that of the applicants who received and that we interviewed. I was happy that I could tell we were going to get somebody good. You know, before
Right.
going into it, there's concern: is anybody going to apply? You know, we're a smaller community, and that was a concern of mine. So I was happy at that point. During the interviews, I would say that even though they all went well, I did feel Stephen stood out just on the interview side of it from us, and he did seem very prepared. He was well-spoken and had that good posture that I think is a good fit for the community. That being said, doing well in an interview, it does not mean you're going to be a good fire chief. So when MCO scored the candidates, they again also said they're all good guys.
Right,
They all
they
did
are.
well.
Wonderful.
Some are maybe more prepared to be in this role than others, and their job is not to make a recommendation.
Right.
They're simply scoring, and they provide some feedback on some strengths, some weaknesses, and allows the community to make the decision. But to see that Stephen, who again, in my opinion, and I kind of based on the scoring that we did during the interview process, he had scored well across the committee. And to see that he had scored well here kind of confirmed that, and to me, I would see no reason to believe that he isn't the best, candidate, and I have no issue recommending him to the board for their consideration.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Same here.
Well, if that's the case, there's not too much more to discuss. I do want to remind the committee and anybody watching that we are just a committee. Certainly the board can choose whoever they feel. They're going to have this information. You know, we attempted, I know we had some recording issues with one or two of the interviews, but they had the ability to see the interviews or actually to sit in on the meetings like the treasurer is today if they were interested during the interviews. But so they hopefully can take this information and feel make a confident decision at the board level. But I did prepare before today, and I did send it to everybody. Agree with that?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you want us to come to the board meeting too? We'd be happy to.
If you want to.
Yeah,
I
if
think it
you're-
would be good. I think it would be
We'll
good.
definitely make sure you're aware of the
Okay.
meeting date.
Is it gonna be a special?
Well, of course,
I,
it's,
yeah, with the holidays, I would really rather not have it be rushed
okay.
with the holidays.
What I'm going to do is prepare a draft background brief, which I'll send to the entire committee with the attachments that I'd like to send, so that you have the opportunity to review it. And if you agree with it, then I would forward it off to the board. And I think at board level we could have some discussion on: do we want to have a special meeting, or we wanna wait. In my opinion, I know it is Christmas, you know, it's
Yeah.
hard with holidays. If we find a time to meet, I would say, I would support that only because if we need to do, if the board chooses to do the psychological exam, my intention was not, based on the attorney's letters saying we shouldn't send anybody until an offer is made.
Right.
It may benefit the township to have that meeting so we can send the candidate and maybe get the results by our regular board meeting, so we maybe have somebody in place around that time. That just would be my recommendation. It'll be a board decision if they choose to have a special meeting, you know. Or the supervisor, you know, the entire board, the supervisor has to call that meeting, so,
Well, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
We'll
That's
see
fine.
how that plays out.
Yep.
Okay. Well, actually, do you have any comment, Treasurer Murray?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you being here to see this, so I think that we can really end the meeting
Close
now.
the meeting.
Yeah, and
Sounds good.
I'll get
Motion
your
to end.
signatures after we close at the end of the meeting.
Cool.
But it's 7:12, and we'll end the meeting there. So and I do want to say, I really appreciate all your willingness to be on this committee. I guess I probably neglected to say that earlier, but I know we've had some rescheduling, and I've sent a lot of emails, and I appreciate your responses and patience on that, you know, but we're trying to be as transparent and thorough as possible, so thank you for all your guys' time.
Yeah, thank you guys, appreciate it.
Um,
Input was invaluable, for real.
Yeah,
Really.
and to have guys with fire experience
Yeah.
from the community, it is,
Yeah, it was
and Armada
really
Township fire
invaluable.
experience too, so that's great, so thank you.
So thank you, thank you. All righty.
Let me end this recording and get you guys'
Do we have to end the meeting?
I guess, was that not formal enough?
Did everybody say?
Yeah, okay.
We didn't adjourn, yeah, just,
All right, meeting adjourned at 7:13.
Okay, good.
let's go. Right, I told my husband, I go, should we know what